86 of the 184 education bills. Just a quick note, if you recall last board meeting, the New Prairie United School Corporation Board of Trustees passed a resolution on House Bill 1136, and that died in committee, so that's now out of the question. But we should make note that just because a bill has died or does not make it out of the committee, when it goes to the next House or the Senate, it can be added on as a amendment. So just because it's dead doesn't mean it's dead either. So that's where we're at on that. One of the first bills that I'm going to just kind of give a quick overview on would be actually two different bills, House Bill 1681 and Senate Bill 1. These are both local public questions, and they just providing that a local public question on a referendum. Hopefully, we're not looking at referendum anytime soon, but the language is saying that it's recommended, and if it passes, that referendums would only be able to be placed on a general election. So that means referendums every 2 years in November. So first and foremost, like I said, at this point in time, this board is not considering a referendum. However, this would limit school corporations into asking the public to vote on passing any type of referendum to every 2 years, which would be including but not limited to controlled projects, day-to-day operations, school public safety, transportation. The list goes on and on. So this bill would definitely tie the hands of school corporations, and as a result could have them operate in red if money's needed and it's not there. So these two bills are not the best bills to be out there right now. Continuing with Senate Bill 1 and then House Bill 1001, this is titled the Budget Property Tax Relief Bill, and this is the bill that gives us our finances. One of the main things with this is we'll phase out the authority of the DLGF to permit excess tax levy that is based on assessed growth value, which in turn will result into a shortfall to items like transportation, maintenance, and other operation funds. House Bill 1001 will cut funding overall to education, decreasing the total percentage of the state budget from 51% down to 48%. In addition, although there's no overall increase of there's an overall increase of approximately 1.3% to new monies going into education. It is not in relation to the overall picture. And of that 1.3% increase, the majority of that will go into universal voucher program. On a positive note, special education would see an increase in funding of about 3.5% in 2026 and 3.6% to 2027. CTE would see an increase in funding of 8.7% in 2026 and 8.1% in 2027. And then ELL would see an increase of about 8.6% in 2026 and 7.5% in 2027. Continue on the, not so positive side, tuition support increase that New Prairie's would receive will look good on paper. However, 2 years ago, as we all know, legislation did away with book fees. They put money aside and then sent districts funding depending on their ADM count, and it was at 157.93. Is that correct, Tim? Do you know? Okay. And then the schools then were reimbursed for those materials. And these budget proposals, they would eliminate that funding from school districts, and instead, school districts would need to back out $157.93 per student from the funding formula, and as it will now be included in the tuition formula, and to determine the new money. So whatever new monies there are, you'd have to actually back that money out, and that's what you would have to work with prior to negotiations with our teacher association partners. And then some more good news over a 3-year period. With these two bills, New Prairie Schools would lose just a shy under $1 million in operations under both plans. And right now, Governor Braun has said that if Senate Bill 1 should happen to pass the House as written, he would veto that bill, as he would like to see even more cuts than that are out there right now. And there is another bill that has made it out of Senate, Senate Bill 518, and that made out in a 28-21 vote. And I'll talk about that bill in a second, but I do just want to say that our Senator Bohachek, he voted in opposition to this bill. So I just want to say thank you to Senator Bohachek for that. And you'll find out why in just 1 second, why that bill needs not pass either. House Bill 1230 and Senate Bill 287, they're marked as School Board Matters. The Senate Bill 287 barely squeaked by with 26 yeas. If it was just one less vote, that bill would have failed. If it would pass in the House, that would be the bill that would require school board members to claim party affiliation. It would also, and this is the carrot, it would raise compensation from $2,000 to 10% of the starting teacher's salary. And this is, again, just my opinion on this one. I believe school boards should continue to be nonpartisan. And personally, I don't think that it's going to make it out of the House now that the Senate bill is making its way through, because its companion bill, which is 1230, did die in the House, did not make it out of committee, and that was 64 nays to 26 yeas with 8 non-votes. So again, I don't believe that this will make it out for the 3rd year in a row. But again, I just want to note that Representative Pressel, Representative Teshka, and Senator Bohachek all voted in opposition to this bill as well. So our local legislators are behind us and believing that school boards should stay nonpartisan as well. Senate Bill 518, it passed out of the Senate and is now in the hands of the House. If passed as written, this is the bill that will make it so that public schools would have to share a portion of their property taxes collected with charter schools, and that, of course, is our operations fund. So we could see yet another cut into our operations fund if this bill would pass out of the House. Again, it barely passed out of the Senate, so there's hopefully good news that since it narrowly made it out of the Senate, that once it gets to the House, it won't either. House Bill 1002 passed, and now it's on its way to the Senate. This actually is a good bill. This will eliminate a lot of the May language that school districts have to abide by. So you'll be able to cut that out of policy and all that. And in addition, it will also eliminate certain policy programs, and it amends the time that we would have to elect officers from the middle of January to the end of January. So it just gives us a little bit more time for our reorganizational meetings as well in the beginning of the year. Senate Bill 249, it defines academic needs of students for purposes of teacher compensation model. Senate Bill 146 raises the minimum teacher pay from currently $40,000 to $45,000 a year. We here at New Prairie are already above state minimum at $44,500. But then this would also require schools to expend 65% of tuition support on teacher compensation, up from the current 62% we're at now. Senate Bill 482 and House Bill 1201 would define chronically absent as missing 10% or more of a school year for any reason. It would also increase the time for conducting the attendance conference from 5 days to 10 days. And that's all the good news I have for you right now. So my report wasn't as good as the one previous to mine, and not as good as the next report. So are there any questions, comments on these wonderful legislation bills that are out there for us? If not, I'm going to pass it on to Dr. White.
Do that.
Oh, we'll do after you, yeah.
Okay. I'm
changing things around. So.
I just want to briefly mention, and then I think the board will go back to consent items. I want to thank the high school staff that was here this evening with that presentation, Mrs. White, Mr. Heinold, our counseling department. It's just really some excellent work. Specifically want to mention that there's a lot here that I think we're thankful for the effort work they put in, but these 4-year plan documents, I can imagine, and I got to witness it briefly at the meeting that occurred recently, that this gave a peace of mind to a lot of parents and families that are trying to navigate this. For any of us that have ever navigated any sort of post-high school enrollment process in a 4- or 2-year college, and you're trying to sort of figure out what the college expects you to do to actually get the degree, and often you get admissions counselors that will tell you different information and certain. So to have something like this that you can follow at home as your students pursue a 4-year plan, and if they change it, you have some quick thoughts and you have some quick reference to take a look at. It's just really some excellent work. So thank you for that work and those efforts, and really just putting us in a great position on the front end to be prepared and to utilize the resources to best of our ability to meet the needs of our students at the high school level. Just thank you. I just want to congratulate a couple of other groups. Our dance team has been very successful in their competitive season. I would foresee that a board meeting later this spring, we're probably going to be bringing in a lot of winter groups that have been highly successful. Our dance team, there are too many swimmers to mention on the girls and boys side. The girls did very well at their local sectional, had some individuals advance through the state level, and the boys are just getting started. And then, of course, our wrestling team, we had 4 wrestlers advance to the state finals, and we're very competitive. We ended up in 8th place, and if you were at that event or watching it at home, you got to see New Prairie be in the top 10 on the leaderboard throughout the weekend with really the largest school systems in the state. So I was able to be at that event, really the first time I've attended state finals for wrestling. And there was just a lot of pride seeing New Prairie standing toe-to-toe with schools that are a lot bigger than us, schools that have historically, and it's clear that our wrestling program it's always been good, and it's emerging as taking it to a next level. And then to have a freshman, MJ Staples, win a state championship in a weight class where a freshman hasn't done that in 100 years. Not only that weight class, but any above it, is probably just a testament to the overall situation. So thank you, and excited to be able to see them at a future board meeting and see where else the wrestling program will go for here in all of our winter extracurriculars. So just wanted to say that this evening.
Thank you, Dr. White. All right, now let's move on to consent items.
There you go.
Can I have a motion to approve consent items, please?
So moved.
I got a motion from Mr. Goddard. Can I have a second? Seconded by Mr. DeMeyer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving consent items, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion will pass 4-0-1. Now let's move on to action items. Action item A is to accept donations. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board accept the following donations. New Prairie High School received donation of $5,000 from the Jewish Federation of St. Joseph Valley. New Prairie United School Corporation Angel Fund received the following donations. Mr. and Mrs. David Millar donated the following: $100 in memory of Mrs. Jeanette Jasinski and $50 in memory of Mrs. Judith Feast. $80 from Amanda Dake of middle school students needed assistance. Prairie View Elementary received $350 in Walmart gift cards for students' needs from the following donors: the Rolling Prairie Business and Community Association, Saugony Lake Conservation Club, and some individual donors. Prairie View Elementary also received 30 books from Mrs. Ertz class from Mill Creek Gleaners, Doris Price, and $100 towards the purchase of an AED from AM Vets. And then the Prairie High School Robotics received the following donations: a $100 donation sponsor from the local 1485, a $200 donation sponsor from James and Vicki Mick, a $200 donation sponsor from Thermco, and a $2,750 grant sponsor from the Gene Haas Foundation. So with that, can I have a motion to accept donations, please? I got a motion from Mr. DeMeyer. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shale. Is there any discussion?
Thank you.
All right, yes, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting donations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion passes 4-0-1. Action item B is to approve the 2026 budget calendar. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the 2026 budget calendar. Could I please have a motion to approve the 2026 budget calendar, please?
So moved.
Got a motion from Mr. Shale. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Goddage. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the 2026 budget calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion passes 4-0-1. Action item C is to approve the Rolling Prairie Baseball Association agreement and the New Prairie Baseball agreement with for 2025. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the Rolling Prairie Baseball Association agreement and the New Prairie Baseball agreement for 2025. Could I please have a motion to approve the Rolling Prairie Baseball Association agreement and the New Prairie Baseball agreement for 2025, please? I got a motion from Mr. DeMeyer. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Goddage. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the Rolling Prairie Baseball Association agreement and the New Prairie Baseball agreement for 2025 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion will pass 4-0-1. Action item D is to approve the 2025 summer career camps and athletic camp dates. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the 2025 summer career camps and athletic camp dates. Could I please have a motion to approve the 2025 summer career camps and athletic camp dates, please?
So moved.
Got a motion from Mr. Goddage. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Shale. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the 2025 summer career camps and athletic camp dates, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion will pass 4-0-1. Action item E is to approve the closure for all transfer students, grades K through 12. We're going to date this back to February 1st for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the closure for all transfer students, grades K through 12, beginning February 1 for the remainder of the 2024-25 school year. Could I please have a motion to approve the closure for all transfer students, grade K-12, for the remainder of the 2024-25 school year, please? Got a motion from Mr. DeMeyer. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Goddage. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the closure for all transfer students, grades K through 12, beginning February 1 for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And that motion will pass 4-0-1. Action item F is to approve the overnight field trip request. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the overnight field trip request for Prairie View Elementary School 5th grade students, 5th grade teachers, and chaperones to attend Camp Tecumseh overnight, May 14th through the 15th, 2025 in Brookston, Indiana, and the New Prairie High School boys and girls cross-country teams to attend the summer team building camp overnight at Potato Creek State Park in North Liberty, Indiana, July 17th through the 19th, 2025, along with the cross-country coaches. Could I please have a motion to approve the overnight field trip request, please?
So moved.
Got a motion for Mr. Shale. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Goddard. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the overnight field trip request, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And that motion will pass 4-0-1. Let's update some job descriptions. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the updated job descriptions for Human Resources Benefits Specialist, Payroll Specialist, Grant Coordinator, and Administrative Assistant to the Curriculum Director. So could I please have a motion to approve these updated job descriptions? Got a motion for Mr. Demeyer. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shale. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the revised job descriptions as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion will pass 4-0-1. Action item H is to approve the New Prairie United School Corporation updated transportation agreement for 2025-2026. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the New Prairie United School Corporation updated transportation agreement for 2025-26. Could I please have a motion to approve the New Prairie United School Corporation updated transportation agreement for 2025-2026, please?
So moved.
Got a motion from, who was that? Mr. Goddard. Is there any, can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Demeyer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the New Prairie United School Corporation updated transportation agreement for 2025-2026, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And that motion passes 4-0-1. And our last action item of the evening is to approve the renewal of the Google Workspace for Education licensing for 2025-2026. It is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the renewal of the Google Workspace for Education licensing for 2025-2026 in the amount of $8,670. Could I please have a motion to approve the renewal of the Google Workspace for Education licensing for 2025-2026 in the amount of $8,670, please?
So moved.
I got a motion from Mr. Shale. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Demeyer. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the renewal of the Google Workspace for Education licensing for 2025-2026 in the amount of $8,670, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion will pass 4-0-1. All right, now the fun part, discussion items. will be doing their first reading of Neola Updated Board Policies, Volume 36, Number 2, Edgar UGG, Volume 36, and Number 2, and Volume 37, Number 1. All right, so first reading of Neola Updated Board Policies, Volume 36, Number 2, Edgar UGG, Volume 36, Number 2, and Volume 37. Number 1, Board Policy 164, Notice of Meetings, a Technical Correction. Policy 164.4, Meeting of the Board Defined, Rescinded Policy. Policy 165, Board Meetings, Revised. Policy 1130, Conflict of Interest, Revised. Policy 1213.01, Staff-Student Relations, Technical Correction. Policy 1220, Employment of the Superintendent, Revised. Policy 1230, Responsibilities of the Superintendent, Revised. Policy 1617, Weapons, Revised. Policy 2623, Student Assessment, Revised. Policy 3217, Weapons, Revised. Policy 4217, Weapons, Revised. Policy 5111, Determination of Legal Settlement and Eligibility for Enrollment of Students Without Legal Settlement in the Corporation, Proof of Indiana Residency, Revised. Policy 5410, Promotion, Placement, and Retention, Revised. Policy 5460, Graduation Requirements, Adopt. Policy 5500, Student Conduct, Revised. Policy 5610, Suspension and Expulsion of Students, Revised. Policy 5772, Weapons, Revised. Policy 6110, Grant Funds, Revised. Policy 6111, Internal Control Standards and Procedures, Revised. Policy 6112, Cash Management of Grants, Revised. Policy 6114, Cost Principles, Spending Federal Funds, Revised. Policy 6250, Required ADM counts for the purpose of state funding and verification of residency for membership, Revised. Policy 6325, Procurement, Federal Grants and Funds. Policy 6550, Travel Payment and Reimbursement, Cost, Revised. Policy 7217, Possession of Firearms and Weapons by Visitors, Revised. Policy 7310, Disposition of Surplus Property, Revised. Policy 7450, Property Inventory, Revised. Policy 7540.03, Student Network and Internet Acceptable Use and Safety, Revised. Policy 7540.04, Staff Technology Acceptable Use and Safety, Revised. Policy 7540.09, Artificial Intelligence, New Policy. Policy 8400, School Safety, Revised. Policy 8420, Emergency Preparedness Plans and Drills, Revised. And finally, Policy 8600.01, Student Safety and Transporting, Revised. Any questions, comments on any of these policies? Right, so what will happen, we'll have another month to look them over and whatnot. We'll have a second reading and adoption scheduled for our March board meeting. We'll also have these policies with the recommended updates on our website, correct? Yep. So those will be posted soon as well, so that our members of the public can look at the recommended changes at that time as well. So if there's no discussion on discussion items, we'll move on to board comments. And I'll just start over to my right, Mr. DeMeyer. Mr. Godich. Mr. Shell.
Me too.
All right, very good. Well, just want to reiterate what Dr. White said, congratulating our wrestling team, our swimmers, our dance team, and all of our students for the great things that they are doing here. Our next regular board meeting will be on March 24th, 2025, and we'll be back at the boardroom at the central office with a start time of 6 p.m. So is there any further business from the board? Right, since there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.